God damn, it's been a while since I did one of these. Hello everybody, and welcome to the next episode of this initial reactions type series, where I am MeisterBloo, and I take a look at the first episode or episodes of a series, and talk about them, what they left me with, and decide whether or not I'm going to follow along with them. Today I took a look at the first episode of the show Mushibugyo, which sounds like Mushibugyo, like... yeah. It was actually really awesome. From the first few moments of it, I got the feeling that this was going to be something pretty cool, because A, the art style was really neat. It looked like... it's hard to describe. It's kind of like people had the angular type faces, kind of like in Yu-Gi-Oh!, but clearly more three-dimensional. Way more three-dimensional. Not like, because as much as I love watching like the first few seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! And even some of the more recent seasons, looking at it, you can tell that it is a two-dimensional plane that they are drawn on or made on and everything. They don't look 3D, honestly. They look kind of like they look flat, the characters. This style looked really cool. It was very colorful, very lively, very like, just everything was popping out by the very first instant. And the animation was like super smooth. The plot centers around a guy named Junbei who's coming to this town called Edo. I guess it's during the time of the samurai and everything. It's taking place in the past. However, it's clearly fantasy based. This town of Edo is apparently constantly attacked by these giant bugs. I guess of multiple different varieties and everything based on some of the dialogue in this episode. And there's an organization, I think, called the Insect Magistrate. I think that's it. Yeah, pretty sure. Anyway, their job is to exterminate these giant insects and keep the people safe. Junbei's dad has been called to arms because apparently he is like a legend. He is a legendary samurai of Japan. He's very powerful and whatnot. However, due to an incident involving his son, he lost the use of his left leg, I think, so he is no longer as powerful of a samurai, and his son, who wishes to become the next, like, all-powerful samurai of Japan, goes to Edo in his place. There he's hoping to find very powerful people to help pretty much, I guess, train him or teach him, as well as very powerful enemies to fight and grow his own personal skills. However, when he gets to town, he finds out, oh, I know nothing about this place, and I'm pretty much lost. So what am I gonna do? He comes across this girl named Ohara who... she's fan service. She is fan service, but I'm glad that she wasn't just fan service, at least based on this episode. She seems like she's going to be a regular character, which is good, because they actually gave her a pretty interesting story. It's a very simple story, like, supremely simple, but you get a little attachment there, especially for someone like me who easily gets emotionally attached to characters. Her mom and dad have been killed by a giant, like, group of spiders, I guess. I don't know if it's spiders, it could be a different type of insect, but they were killed by giant insects. And it's gotten to the point where, despite the fact that she keeps, like, donating to the insect magistrate and, like, pretty much praying that this will stop and that people can be protected by these giant insects all the time, she's kind of lost her faith in that, and thinks that being killed by giant insects is now like a typical thing that will happen to people in this town. Her and Junbei, they get a really instant connection with each other, because she comes to help him because she realizes, oh, he's lost, I guess. And she brings him to her grandpa's shop and feeds him and everything, and they get to know each other a little bit. It's very brief, but then somebody gets attacked by a giant spider in the city, and Junbei rushes off to go help. Doesn't manage to kill the thing, and it takes her instead, and drags her off into a nest. It's there that he comes across a guy who's claiming to be the head of the Insect Magistrate, and he looks like a kind of inspector. He looks kind of like a Major Hughes kind of character. At least he looks like the character who's goofy, but he plays things off goofily despite the fact that he's probably serious. Basically, Junbei runs off to go save her, there's a huge, awesome fight scene, and end of the episode happens after it's over. Again, the animation and art style for the show are really awesome, they're really cool, but another thing I was particularly noticing, the soundtrack is so cool, it's so good! Like, when they were in the city and all that, there's all these, like, flutes and all these wind instruments, playing these like nice little melodies and everything, and then when it gets to the action, just like heavy heavy guitar, just and it's just so cool because, like, I really like music. I like music a lot. I play a little bit of bass, which you probably can see the front of right there. I play a little bit of bass, and I love all types of music, honestly, and it was very Japanese, the music in this, because I listen to Japanese rock bands sometimes too. I listen to them actually pretty often recently, but I also love, like, the kind of almost stereotypical but still very nice and smooth sounding, like, Japanese flutes playing and everything, all the wind instruments, the plucking of it's not a mandolin, because I think mandolin is the English phrase of the term, but I don't know what that type of guitar is called. Like, I think it's a 3-string one. It's got music like that in it, and it makes it. The show is taking place in Japan, and you can tell it's taking place in Japan, and that's a really cool thing for me, especially. But yes, Mushibugyo. I am very, very likely going to watch more of this whenever I get the chance. It's got about 20-something, I think 26, 24 episodes, at least on the Crunchyroll. On the Crunchyroll page. I don't know if it's based on anything. I don't know if it's based on a manga, a game. It seems like a story that could very easily be based on a game, and if so, then it's being handled pretty well, at least by the first episode. So yes, I'm going to follow this one along if I can, when I can. And I would highly recommend that people who like an action-y type of show take a look at it, especially if you're into stuff like feudal Japan, the samurai, that type of stuff, because it's actually seeming like it's going to be taking place, it's going to be dealing with a lot of this, and it's samurais fighting giant monsters. That's pretty badass. But yes, this has been my first look at the first episode of Mushibugyo, and if I'm going to follow this along, and if I finish it, I will of course do an initial impressions on it and give my thoughts on what the entire show as a whole right now left me with. But until next time, peace out.
I mean it. Might have to kill you. Go, Icarus! We shall burn the Widow into the ground, making it all ash. Not like the Pokemon trainer, like the actual stuff that happens